that the intersectionality language allows us to understand that people are coming at it from different priorities, and they might not be the one of the definition as women. And I think that's really, really important. The particular person's experience of being a Muslim might be more predominant in their daily experience than of being a woman, or class, or whatever it is. And I think just understanding that and unpicking that is really important. But where was I heading with this?
I mean, I suppose the thing about this is that when we're talking about, it was part of a conversation last night where it was to do with the Women's Equality Party.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because my sense is that, you know, who couldn't love Sandy Thomas-Swift? He's just fabulous, isn't she? But is it London-centric? I'm going to even throw in now geography. I want to raise geography with you as well. Is it London-centric? Is a little bit kind of homogenised in a particular segment of women that are sort of feeding it? Because no one could really, you look at the WP, and I know that we have the chair of the local branch here, no one could disagree with anything they're saying, but I'm just like thinking, how is it shaped? Who's shaped it? Who's shaping it?
Okay, so yeah. I think it's always easy to critique something that's not perfect for not being perfect. You know?
Okay.
And you know, I don't think we can always get it all totally right. And the whole history of feminism is marred by that. Well, you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, and you didn't count us, and you know, colour, and all of it. But I remembered where I wanted to head with it.
Okay, good.
So,
giving you
I think what I wanted to say is that I think we're living in a very interesting time in that some of these obvious schisms are being broken down. So the whole trans business, meaning that actually it's almost like this duality of you're either a man or a woman, you're either coloured or you're not, you're either working class or you're middle class or upper class. But you know, these kind of simplistic schisms, blow them away, and you know, let's see what people are, what they want to be, and let them be whatever they want to be. And I think maybe, just maybe, there is an opportunity now, because you know, I think particularly because around sexuality we're being forced to challenge those dualities. If we can grab hold of that and say, you know, let people be whoever they want to be, then everything becomes so much more interesting.
And just finally, just in terms of, I just alluded to the geography side of things. Obviously, you've got some, you know, significant connections, and Emmeline, was it in Salford? Was it Salford or Manchester?
Manchester.
Yeah, Manchester. So, and obviously there's a Pankhurst Centre in Manchester. But there's a clear divide in this, you know, there's an economic and social divide in this country. Do you think that's played out you know, is it played out in terms of the lives of women as well, or is it particularly problematic for women that are, let's say, north of Watford?
Yeah, I mean, I think all these, not necessarily all the schisms are exacerbating the gender one, but it wouldn't be surprising if an economic one did do so. I mean, just like we've just argued that, not just argued, but we just talked about austerity as a magnified effect on women. If you don't look at it, if you don't kind of understand the gender repercussions of it, I would argue that it's the same in terms of the geographic distinctions, which are linked to economic ones, which are linked to social. But then, you know, there are pockets in different parts of the north, and there are pockets in different parts of the south. One of the things I was looking at was data on girls' educational achievement. And there's this simplistic statement that girls are doing very well and boys are not doing so well, and now suddenly there's a moral worry about boys. Well, actually, if you unpick it and you look at the social class, and if you look at ethnicity, etc., it's a much more complicated story than that. So I think that understanding the nuance, and yet, for me, retaining a collective voice in whatever issue, but retaining a collective and saying, yes, there are variances, but we can still, as women, say we have a lot in common, and we can act on that, and we can check our privileges. So as Southerners, we can check our privilege, or as white people, we can check our privilege, and then come together. I think there's also tremendous power in not dividing it up and saying, well, I'm only this and I'm only that.
Okay, great. Well, there's a lot to think about there. So I think it's important now to open it up.